Hello there everyone, it's Aidan from Push Square and this is the Dualsense Edge. It's a new, highly customizable Pro controller for the PS5 and we've been lucky enough to get our hands on with this thing prior to release. We've been trying it out over the last week or so and I've got some thoughts about it. Now, this video isn't going to be a strict list of all of the features you can expect with it. We covered a lot of those in our unboxing video, which I'll link somewhere here. But the point of this video today is really to showcase the things that I liked about this controller, what I didn't like, and of course, whether it's worth your money. So let's get into it. So as a brief introduction, this of course is the Dualsense Edge, a Pro upgrade from the original Dualsense controller. It's available to buy now, and that brings us on to the price. This thing will cost you £210 here in the UK and $200 in the US, so quite a pricey thing, but there's a lot that you get with it for that money. So to start off, of course, you can see there's a slightly revised design. We have a bit more of an angular, aggressive look with the touchpad, the PlayStation symbols and shapes across the front of the touchpad and at the tip of the trigger actually, which is a nice detail. And you have a more glossy design of the front face, which is replacing the matted finish. I personally prefer the matte, but of course that's just personal opinion. But overall, I do really like this black and white contrasted design. I think it looks really nice. In your hand, the controller grips feel a little bit slimmer than the original version. I don't have the actual dimensions on me, but when I'm actually holding this, it does feel a little bit slimmer. But other than that, it's almost an identical experience to the original Dualsense, of course, before you get into those additional features. Now, of course, there's a bunch of features I could be covering with this, like the adjustable travel distance of the triggers or the replaceable thumbstick caps, but there's actually three main features that I think make this worth that high price tag. To start off, of course, you've got the two additional back paddles. Now, these can be either these longer ones or shorter, clickier ones, but both are connected with a sort of magnetic clasp, and it's a little fiddly to start, but once you get used to it, it feels really natural and effortless. Now, with these things, you can map any button to them within the PlayStation 5 menus, and you can actually save different gamer profiles. So if you're playing something like Apex, but then you want to play a bit of Fortnite and the button layout is better with something else on the back paddles, then you can do that. So then by holding the FN button on the front here and then any of the assigned face buttons on the right, you can instantly switch to a different gamer profile. And it's a really flawless and streamlined experience that feels like it's really well thought out. The second big feature though is the replaceable thumbstick modules. Now, not the caps, the entire thumbstick module. With the types of gamers that will be playing this device, there's going to be a lot of wear and tear on the thumbstick modules. It's only natural, and that brings on the dreaded stick drift. It's something we've probably all experienced. I certainly have. And rather than having to worry about your entire £210 investment going down the drain, this means that you can buy a thumbstick module for 20 quid and replace it, which obviously eases a lot of your financial concerns, and it's a nice way to future-proof this product. Lastly though, and this is something I feel like has been underplayed quite a bit, and that's that we have a Pro controller with the Dualsense features. The Dualsense features are what made the original PlayStation 5 DualSense stand out so much. They're fantastic. They have incredible immersive capabilities through both the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. And a lot of the time when you're looking at third-party Pro controllers, you're losing out on that. But here we have that immersive experience that can only be found with the Dualsense controller. And melding both the competitive and the immersive capabilities into one controller, I feel like, is one of the biggest selling points of this device. Before we move on to some of the complaints I had, I have to bring up this thing here. The case, I think it's super impressive. Of course, I mentioned it in the unboxing video as well, but it looks really nice. It's nice and firm. It's got everything packed in really nicely with your thumbstick cap replacements, your locking mechanism for your charger, your braided charging wire up here in this netted compartment, and something I didn't even notice in the unboxing, a little bit there so you can charge your controller whilst it's still in the case. It's a nice way to make your purchase feel premium. Like, honestly, look at it, it just looks nice. But of course, it's not all plain sailing. There are some things that maybe could be better. The battery life, for one, is certainly a big talking point. A lot of people have discussed how the battery is 2/3 of the size, it's going to be so much shorter. Now, I wouldn't say I'm on that camp of it's that bad. From 100% to completely drained 0% battery, I got about 6 hours in this, which, to be honest, isn't much different from the regular DualSense controller. Now of course, could it be better? Yes, sure, but I did have the adaptive triggers and the haptic feedback dialed up to their strongest, and I was playing some pretty vibration heavy games across those 6 hours, so I didn't feel like it was overly short or out of line with what I usually get on my DualSense controller. Additionally though, Sony did include a really long braided USB-A to C cable and a locking mechanism for your charging cable, and I think that's because they know a lot of people that will be playing this, the actual competitive gamers, will be playing this wired. So the 6 hour battery life, the lower battery life, I don't think it's that big of an issue. But then just to touch on the price, do I think this is really worth 3.5 times the value of this thing right here? If you're a casual gamer, no. There's no way that you should be spending that amount of money on a controller like this. But if you're serious about playing games competitively, competitive FPS games for example are your bread and butter, and you like playing on controller, then yes, this is totally something you should consider. As I said, it's not just the pro customization features, it's the immersive capabilities as well. You're not missing out on that PlayStation 5 experience, you're getting an upgraded version of what was already available with the DualSense. Now as far as I know, you can still use this thing on PC as well, just like the regular DualSense. It's dependent on the games themselves and whether they have DualSense compatibility, and of course that does mean that some of the additional features of this controller, it will depend on whether they are supported in any said game. So of course it's a bit of an open discussion about whether this thing is really worth the money. I would love to know whether if you're someone that likes to play competitively, if you're interested in pro controllers, is £210 really outside the scope of what you would spend on a controller like this? Having a quick look online, I found that a lot of them were relatively similarly priced. Of course it is more expensive than the Xbox version with the Elite controller. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, please leave a like, that really does help us out. And of course, if you want to see more PlayStation coverage, we've got plenty here on Push Square, so please subscribe to the channel. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.